We left Porto 4 days after the Corsica storm, and we were heading south toward Ajaccio. On the way there, we saw so many boats and shipwrecks on shore, and we were amazed again how big the Corsica storm was. Our plan at the time was to continue exploring the beautiful coastline of Corsica all the way down south to Bonifacio, and then cross to the north side of Sardinia and wait there for a good weather window to continue to Menorca. Our first stop was Ajaccio, not because we wanted to see the city, but because we had tons of laundry to do. Once it was all done, we happily left the marina and moved to an anchorage. We then continued south and explored every single beach we only could. We paddleboard, we snorkeled, and we enjoyed the beach time.
Yeah, so we
Bonifacio.
So we entered the Bonifacio Bay area, and we can go straight to the port, or you can just turn left just before the port, and there's a bay area. Then you can take mooring lines, which are on the wall. It's like a cliff, and they are attached to the cliff. And those mooring, they go into the water, and you need to collect them and just tie it to the boat. But there's no one that can help you.
So I went down. We agreed that I will be on the paddleboard. I'm not getting close to the boat, so it's okay. I'm not in the water swimming. I'm on the paddleboard. It was the first time we ever did anything like it. So we never encountered a bay when you have to moor by yourself and actually grab the mooring line from the wall. So I did that. I went to the wall, and then there was like a huge shackle, and I needed to pick one of 4 different lines, and I just picked one. I started pulling it. It was too short, and then I took another one, and I saw that it was really leading me deep into the water, close to the boat. So I just took it. I grabbed it. I started to pull that, and then I got closer and closer to the boat, and we were aiming for me to give the rope to Gal. So he will put it on the front side of the boat, and then as I was approaching the boat, I held it in my hand, and then I threw it to Gal. He missed it, and just as I was trying to retrieve it again and throw it again, the wind came into this really narrow bay, and it pushed the boat
on other boats.
On another one. Yeah.
Yep. And actually I tried, me and Gal, we tried to take the line, and I took the line, but it was a little bit short, and it was because the wind picked up, I couldn't put it on the clit. I told Adi, okay, you need to come back to the boat, because we're dragging on other boats, and the wind is picking up very fast, and we need to do something. So you have to come to the boat, and then we just redo everything.
I was on the paddleboard. I had the line just across the paddleboard, and I was hearing, Adi, I need you. We're gonna crash on that boat. I need you here. I'm by myself with the kids. And I was like, what do I do? So I just threw away the line and I paddled back very, very quickly to the boat. I saw them getting really close with the backside of the boat to the one that was already there tied to the mooring lines. And then I just arrived. I caught the left side of the boat, so I held it with my hands. I was standing on the paddleboard and I was like, okay, if I'm jumping to the boat I will lose the paddleboard. And I said, okay, it's okay because we're coming back, we're just going to re-enter this bay. And I held the boat and I just jumped on the boat. And I remember standing on the boat, and a second later I was in the water. And I didn't know what happened, but I was wearing my sunglasses that had the number, because I wear glasses. So I was wearing them and I was just trying to see if I still have them, and I was really excited that they still have them because this is the expensive sunglasses that I have. So I was thrilled about that, and on the same second I just felt something weird in my right heel. I was holding the boat, the left side of the boat, with two hands, and my legs were just getting under the boat really close to the propeller. It took me a second and I was just like, I realized that I was caught in the propeller and that I had cut in my leg. It wasn't painful at all. I just felt something really weird with my leg. And at that second I started to scream to Sergey, and I started to push with my leg just to get as far as I can with my legs from there, while I was screaming hysterically to Sergey. And I will let you tell your side of it in a second, but at that moment I didn't know what's happening. I pulled my leg a little bit. I felt like the motor was not running anymore, so I just pulled my leg for a second, and I saw this huge gap where my heel should be. It was like huge gap in my foot, and a second later I just felt that someone is grabbing me and just picking me up, all of me, onto the boat.
From my perspective, okay, so Adi, she was on the boat already, and when she was on the boat I started reversing because I was almost hitting another boat, and I started reversing, and then I heard Adi started yelling, Sergey, wow, Sergey. I immediately, and before I just even looked at her, I understand what happened. So I put the boat in neutral, and I didn't care anymore that we're dragging on another boat. So I just went to the back, and I pulled her from the water, and I saw that her leg is really open, like her heel is really open, and it's bleeding a lot. I ran and I brought a towel, just the first towel I saw. I pressed on the wound, and I gave her the towel. I told her just to press, and please don't faint. Just stay with me, and that's it. Just sit here, and I will bring us to shore. Trying to go into the port, I started. I called on the radio to the port. I said that I have an emergency and I need an ambulance waiting for me just in the port, and that I have around 3 minutes to get there. And they said, okay, please hold. And it was really traffic inside the port, and I was trying to maneuver myself between the boats, the small boats and the big boats, and the super yachts and everything, and I didn't care anymore. The kids were standing and looking at their mother bleeding, and they were amazing because they were standing and they're like, you need water, do you need something, do you want me to do that, and you do that.
I was sitting on the back side, right on the stairs, on the top stair, and I was holding my foot. I was literally holding it together, just pressing my heel back into my foot. I realized at that moment what happened. I understood that I have a serious gash, that I will probably need surgery. I saw that I have another one closer to my fingers. I started to lose the feeling on my big finger on my right leg, and I immediately understood what's happening. I was screaming. I remember that I was screaming my lungs out, and at some point, I don't know if Sergey told me to just stop screaming or if I just realized that the boys are there looking at me, but I stopped, and then I looked at Gal and I asked him if he could bring me a glass of water. And at that moment, I was back. I was holding my leg. I was living with the pain. I did not faint, and Sergey kept saying they did, just don't faint, and I was like, no, I'm okay, I'm here, I'm completely 100% here with you. So I was holding it, I was bleeding like crazy, and Gal brought me some water, and then I saw that Bao was looking at me, so I asked him to refill the water, and I was talking to them, telling them Mom is okay. And at one point I saw a marinero just passing behind us, and I just yelled, help, help, help. And the moment he saw the blood, he just came over, and they were trying to convince me to move to his dinghy, and they didn't want to because they didn't know how Sergey is gonna moor the boat in the marina.
He said, okay, we need to I need to take her to the ambulance. So we passed Adi to his boat. Gal and Bar, they brought some papers like a passport and a little bit of money and everything, and her sunglasses, and she went with this guy into the port, and we saw the ambulance arrive really fast. Everything was really like minutes, like 3 minutes happening, and the ambulance came really fast, and those guys were amazing. And thank you to Bonifacio Port if they see us.
I went with the marinero on his dinghy, and they took me to where the ambulance was waiting, and they were all lifting me up. I still had my towel on the leg, so I was holding my heel with the towel, and and then they got me into the ambulance, and I was still wearing my bikini. It was surreal. It was just surreal. From the moment I got into the ambulance until the moment I went into surgery, I had on my Google Translate that I'm blood type O+, and that I'm allergic to penicillin. So they needed to know that, but they couldn't understand me because they speak French. So I had it on my Google Translate all the time open for them. So I was laying there in the ambulance with my bikini. They took the towel off my leg, and I saw on their faces how bad it was. I couldn't look at it. For me, it was enough to see the gash in the water when I was in the water, but they didn't really know even how to put the bandage on it. So they just did something, and then they told me, okay, we're gonna take you to the hospital, to the closest hospital, but first we're gonna stop in a clinic on the way to give you something for the pain, because they had nothing for the pain, and it was painful. So the ambulance took me to this clinic, and then there was a really nice lady that came out and gave me something to drink, or some painkiller, so I will feel the pain a little less. And then we continued on another 30 minutes ride to the nearest hospital, which is a really tiny hospital. But then there was a doctor. I waited for like 30 minutes for the doctor to come. She looked at it. She was in shock. She said that they do get hurts from propellers in that hospital, but she wasn't sure that this one, it was really severe, so she wasn't sure that she's able to work on it on that hospital and operate on me. So she said that she needs to take a closer look at that, and in order to do that, they had to give me some more painkillers and some laughing gas, so I will be zoned out. And then so they gave me everything, and I just took my face mask because it was still COVID time, or post-COVID time, and we all wore the masks. So I took the masks from my face, and I just put it on my eyes because I couldn't look at it. So she was there starting to dig in my heel, in my open heel, and I could feel what she was doing, and she was trying to see if I have torn the Achilles or not. So she was really trying to look at that, and it was so painful, regardless to all the painkillers that I got, and I got some good ones, but it was so painful that at some point she just said, okay, enough, I can't do it while you're awake and feel. And then she told me, okay, we'll take you to the operation. We need to take some x-rays before, but we'll do the operation here. And if at some point I see that I can't manage it here in this hospital, then we will have to send you to Ajaccio, which is like 3 hours ride from there, to do that surgery and get it done there. And when she walks out of the room, I knew that I have about an hour until it'll take me to the x-ray. And at that moment, I call my mom. I'm alone in the hospital and no one really speaks English, so I talk to them mostly with Google Translate, and I'm alone. And I call my mom and I'm like, Mom, I'm okay, but I got hurt. I got hurt and I'm gonna go through Okay, so I call my mom and I tell her, Mom, I got hurt and I'm okay, but I'm gonna go through a surgery. Please tell Dad. And call Sergey, he's available, but I'm alone right now, and everything is gonna be okay, but I'm here at the hospital. And it was a tough one, and the doctor, which was amazing, she hugged me because she was trying to get me to relax, and she hugged me and she told me that everything will be okay and she'll take good care of me.
I was alone with three little boys on the boat, and I need to dock it. Gal and Bar, they helped me as I docked the boat, and we were standing in the marina. I saw that all the back of the boat is red. Everything was really red from the blood. So the first thing I said to the boys, okay, maybe you should go inside a little bit to play with a tablet or something. Everything is okay. We're docked. Mommy is in the ambulance. She's going to be okay. And they were coming down. And so what I wanted to do is just to clean the blood. I asked for a guy that helped us dock if he can bring some water and just to spray the water, and I was scrubbing the blood from the back of the boat, and that's it. So I was left there in the marina by myself. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know where Adi left. We didn't know where she went, if she's okay. We didn't know anything. After a few minutes, she wrote me in a message that she's okay. They took her to a clinic, and she's getting treated, and everything is going to be okay. So I took them because the boys were really hyped out from the situation. I really wanted to take them and do something out of this situation. So I just took them to eat ice cream, and we were sitting and eating ice cream. It was surreal. In this beautiful port of Bonifacio, and their mother is somewhere getting treated, and I didn't know what to do, and it was really fun. They ate the ice cream. We had lots of fun for 1 minute, not to think about the situation. And then Adi called me and she said that she's going to be okay, but it's probably she needs to do a surgery. Actually, I was a wreck that moment. I started crying like I didn't know how to hold myself, and yeah, it was a tough situation. And I tried to be really stop everything, not to cry, and just to be with the kids.
It's a little windy. Both light. So they took me to the x-rays, and then they took me to prep for the surgery, and I just asked them to make a call to Sergey to let him know where I am, and then I called him, and he was at the ice cream shop, and I heard that he was crying, and he just told me, Adi, just be okay, just please be okay. and he was crying and I was crying and the whole medical team was waiting for me to stop crying. And then I hang up with him and I was crying and I needed some tissue, so I asked them, do you have tissue? And they didn't know what I'm talking about because they speak French. Eventually one of them, I was like, yeah, with my nose and with my tears and everything, and the whole thing from a very sad situation kind of became hilarious because they just didn't understand what I want them to bring me, until one of the team realized that I just need a tissue for my nose. And then the anesthesia doctor came to me and he asked me if I want them to give me epidural or full anesthesia, and I just told him, just take me out. I don't want to be awake when you do whatever you do down there. I just want to sleep and wake up when this whole nightmare is over. And then I also gave them Sergei's phone number to let him know when I'm out of surgery, just to update him. And then I went into the surgery. I woke up a couple of hours later. Afterwards, she told me it was about 2 or 3 hours surgery. I had stitches in and out. I didn't know how many. I couldn't see my leg. I actually had 3 areas that I get stitches. One of them is my heel, one of them is just before my big toe on my right foot, and the other one was on my left ankle. So I saw that I have all these bandages, and I had a really big one on my right leg. And when I got out of the recovery room, when they took me to my room, I saw Sergei and the kids were waiting for me, and they were so happy, and I was so excited to see them. And I knew that it was over. That was behind us. Now we just need to look forward and see what's coming up. The hospital was really tiny. They didn't even have separation between the bed in my room. So we were 2 different ladies on the same room with nothing between us. In the morning, Sergei and the kids came. Boat life, we had to get everything closed because it started raining, as you can see. Anyway, the day after, Sergei and the kids came to take me out of the hospital. I was there for just 1 night, thankful for that. And then they took me back to the boat. Getting from the taxi to the boat was one of the most painful things I've ever done. I had a cast on my leg and I had crutches, and I just needed to get to the boat, and it was so painful because the cut on my left leg felt like I was tearing it all over again every time I stood on that leg. So at one point I just sat down on the ground and just breathed for a little bit. It was like 100 meters from the taxi to the boat. That took me, I think, 15 minutes and lots of tears to do. Post-surgery, what they told me is that I had a really bad cut internally as well. I cut 2 nerves in my leg, one's going to the heel and the other one going to my big toe. They were not sure if or when I'm going to get back the feeling of touch to those areas. Lucky for me, I got the big toe back. I still don't feel my heel though. And I also had about 5% cut in my Achilles ligament. So that's why I got the cast for 3 weeks. On the boat, we sat down and we had a very serious conversation about, okay, what's next? Are we flying home? Are we going back to Israel? Are we staying on the boat? Staying in Bonifacio Marina was impossible because it was very, very, very expensive. So we could just not stay there. We decided that we're going to stay on the boat and that we're going to get a nurse the day after to replace the bandages. I couldn't do anything until then, and she will teach Sergei what to do so he can start doing it for the next couple of weeks until I get the stitches out. And that we will stay on the boat and we will move to Sardinia and to a different marina, a very cute marina, and that we will spend some healing time there for like a week or so, and then continue very, very slowly until I literally get back on my feet and could do things again on the boat. So we got the nurse coming in, and she really showed Sergei what to do and how to replace all the bandages. It was the first time that I saw my leg post the accident, and I had 30 stitches I had 20 stitches on my heel from the outside. I have no idea how many were on the inside. I had another 5, I think, or 6 on my close to my big toe, and then another 4 on my left leg. It looked terrible. It looked really, really bad, and it was so painful for the first couple of days. And once she left, I was laying down here outside, and Sergey and Gal just did everything with Bal's help as well. We just took off and did 5 hours crossing to Sardinia, and I was just zooming in and out here, not really being able to help and just being in my pain, taking painkillers just to pass this ride. And then we got to Ayola Rosa, and we spent there 8 days. Sergey and the kids had a blast. We had 2 different beaches, so they went to the beach every day, morning to one beach, on the evening to the other one. And after a couple of days, when I started to feel better, I started doing the homeschooling again. And we kind of had a routine in the boat while I'm strapped to the boat and they can go out. But we kind of had a routine. I got a little bit better by the day. And I think that by the end of that week, I already started standing on my cast. So I was feeling much, much better and much more optimistic than I was when we got to Ayola Rosa.
For 2 weeks, Sergey was single parenting. I was there, but I wasn't really. So I could do the homeschooling, but I couldn't really make the food. I could yell at them and tell them to listen to us, but I couldn't take them to see the cities and do stuff outside of the boat. So he was pretty much alone most of the time, taking care not only of the kids, but also making food and making sure that the boat is still okay. And then Sergey's parents said that they're coming to help. So we continued sailing through the north coast of Sardinia while we were aiming to get to Alghero and meet with them in a few days. "10 days after the accident, and we were okay. We relearned how to live our life." מה זה? להעביר בבוקר? כן? מה קורה אחר כך? מה זה כלום?
יש ברק אמיתי.
יש ברק אמיתי? ואיך הוא עושה הברק האמיתי?
ביי ביי.
ברק האמיתי עושה ביי ביי? Next episode, stitches removed, cast removed, and getting ready for our first long crossing.